taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such an extent that you bleed to get like the white man?
But he's just not a teacher. Black people now want to be taught. They don't want to be just spoken to. They want to learn something now. They want to clear the smoke.
So what is his purpose?
You have to ask him that. You can't ask me what his minutes of fire conference. You have to go to him and ask him that.
Peace and light. Peace and light. What's good, fam? There we go. We own it. Peace and love, everybody. Listen, let's tap in. We're going to jump right into it because we ain't got a whole lot of time, right? Get your pens and your papers, your pencils and your papers. Let's take some notes. Today, I'm going to demonstrate and try to do the connection between the ancient Egyptians and the Hebrews. That's the subject matter today. We're going to talk about why these Israelites or these Hebrew Israelites, what was their fantasy with the Egyptians? Why are we seeing so much connection to the Hebrews and the Egyptians? And what were the Hebrews doing in that land for 400 years, according to what's written? 400 years is quite a few generations to be hanging out in one landmass, right? So I'm pretty sure some traditions were lost. They adopted new ideologies, new religions. They were pretty much colonized, if you will, indoctrinated. I know that the Bible points out that Moses was learned in all the ways of the Egyptians. That means he knew all the ways of the Egyptians, according to what's written. So we're going to talk about some of those ways. Like, what were those ways? Got special guests in the house also. The high priest is also joining me. Live from New York City.
Peace. Peace and blessings, everyone. High priest in the building with the Minister of Information.
Appreciate you joining me, good brother. Tapping in with me. And of course, always, you know, the good brother going to add some value and pull out that geometrium calculator and see how this all makes sense. How this ancient information makes sense in 2024. He demonstrated many times before. I think the most powerful one we did was with Serapis Christos and Kamala Harris. That was crazy. That one was crazy.
Different.
You know, I still get on TikTok and watch that to this day. Like, damn. That was crazy. Because here's what I imagine. Had we did the demonstration, say, 10 years ago, Kamala Harris wouldn't have made sense to us. Because we would have had no idea who that was 10 years ago. Not, you know, she's a person, but the masses wouldn't have known what they're talking about. It was like the timing of it was crazy.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff, man. Once we get into it and start breaking it down, it's just it opens our eyes to just the masks that are out there that are just trying to cover up old things, because what they say, you can't create nor destroy energy, it just transfers.
Right. Facts.
So
Facts. And I know you demonstrated before coming from the Bible. I forgot the verse that was talking about the name and the word, and
2 Corinthians 3:6.
2 Corinthians 3:6, yeah. that was a powerful demonstration too. So, but again, thank y'all for tapping in. Let's hop into the chat. Who we got in here? Dr. Hope, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Peace and love. Appreciate you. What's going on, good brother Lions? Reading family, hit that like button. Please hit that like button on the way in. Share it too, if you can. That'd be great. Peace and love, Rebel Squad in the building. My guy Rob's in the building. Peace and love. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri in the building. For sure. Yes, Dr. Ben, man. In fact, we're gonna go ahead and get into this piece and listen to Dr. Ben. Again, we're dealing with the Hebrew connection in Egypt, and let's check out what Dr. Ben has to say about the Hebrew connection.
It's not going to make you very popular in this town and may not allow you to get safely out of town. You told an audience last night that you saw, I think, in a tomb in Egypt.
Yeah.
You saw it with your own two eyes, right?
Yes.
You told me that Moses, there were more than 10 commandments. Moses just took
42. The negative confessions. Moses isn't supposed to have been born until 1349 BC. The Africans were already in the 18th dynastic period. Akhenaten, who died before Moses was born, and Imhotep, who died more than 2,000 years before the birth of Moses, and others at the Grand Lodge of Mem had 42 laws called now the negative confession, one for each nome. They go like this: I have not killed man nor woman. I have.
Hey, I want to point out. I want you all to remember. He said the temple of Mem. At the temple of Mem is what Dr. Ben was talking about. Those 92 negative confessions. He's saying that out of those 92 or 42 laws of negative confessions, Moses hijacked 10 of those. Now, we can go into the scriptures and demonstrate on how Moses did receive some statutes, ordinances, or laws at the top of a mountain just outside of Egypt. And the laws that Moses first received, he came down the mountain and he destroyed those laws, or the tablets anyway. And then upon returning to the mountain, Moses rescribed 10 of what was on the original tablets. So it wasn't that 10 commandments were the original number. He only wrote down 10 of the 92 negative confessions out of Egypt. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to back up what I'm saying in a second about Moses, because remember the Bible said Moses was learned in all the ways of the Egyptians. He knew all their ways, religion, language, culture, everything, which is not too far off. I'm going to show you in a second, which is not too far off the mark if you understand who the Egyptians were as related to who Moses was and where Moses come from. And I'll show you in a second. Let's continue.
Not spoken ill of the gods. Moses is supposed to be born in Egypt, they said, at a place called Sukkot. Already, it says that Moses get the 10 commandments of Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is still in Africa, right? The Sinai Peninsula is a part of Egypt. More so, is it possible for Moses to be born in Egypt, educated in Egypt? At age 85, he's still in Egypt, and he did not learn the negative confessions. Is it possible for you to go to school, born in the United States, go to kindergarten, elementary, junior high school, and college, and never heard of the United States Constitution? Then it would have been impossible for Moses, when everybody had to read the negative confession 5 times a day, for Moses not to have seen those 42 laws and extracted 10 of them, leave 32 more. Now, if you could go to the temple of Setaiwan at Abydos, to go to the tomb of Ramesses VI at the Valley of the Kings, Go to the temple at Edfu, where you would, by the way, see the story of an immaculate conception and a virgin birth 4,100 years before the Mary and Jesus story.
As a matter of fact,
Wait.
no,
Let
because
me understand.
this is
Let me-
shocking.
let me just put it in form of a question then. I mean, I don't want to stop this because we're here for information. But what you're trying to get me to believe is that Moses didn't get the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai, but he got them
From his fellow Africans.
Moses was the high priest in Egypt,
Egypt.
a high priest of the Egyptians in Egypt. Then what was he teaching? He wasn't a high priest of the Jews.
They were no Jews in those days. They called themselves. They were, remember now, they were no Israel yet. Israel is not until 1196. And when we to hear of Abraham,
There is no Israel yet, Dr. Ben just told you. There was no Israel. There was no Jacob's children. There was no Hebrews. They don't become Hebrews until they leave and cross over. Hebrew to cross over. So at this moment right now, while they're still there, they were born there. Moses was born in the land of Cush. If we're going to talk about the Kushite Empire, where he comes from, which is the lower Egypt of where it all starts into upper Egypt. The Nile River flows up into Egypt. And we'll talk about that Nile River also for Moses. But Dr. Ben is dropping some heat. Listen to him.
Avram, as he was called, coming into Egypt. The Africans are already in Egypt, already in their 14th dynastic period when he shows up. All of the pyramids are built. That's another thing. Everyone, the 62 pyramids in Egypt were built before the first Jew was born.
Why was he fleeing from the Pharaoh?
Let me ask
What
you
was the
something.
charge?
I can write anything when I want to write, you know. Who can stop me from writing if I got the power?
I was about to ask you, what kind of trouble do you get into for holding these kind of views?
Oh, the other day, a black sister spat in my face, and because she couldn't take that. She couldn't take that Jesus was black. She said, no. I mean, he had no color. If he didn't have no color, how John the Baptist saw him to baptize him?
Do you realize that you're getting at the foundation, that you're shooting and digging away at the foundation of what most of us grew up believing?
Yeah, well, we believe a lot of things for a long time. One thing, they give us 3 pages in the Bible. Slave, obey your master. And that's what we believed for the longest time. They said that Jesus said, so how would Jesus, who fought the system, say to the slave, obey your master?
That's deep.
That's the great late Dr. Ben, man. And as I said before, if you're not up on who Dr. Ben, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, John Henry Clark, just to name a few, John G. Jackson, if you're not up on those brilliant minds, man, brilliant minds.
No, don't forget Dexter Coatley.
Who that?
Coatley. Steve, I'm sorry, did I say his name wrong? Steve Coatley?
I'm not familiar who that is.
Oh man, I gotta plug you in.
Yeah, put me on him. Is he a black scholar?
Oh yeah. Yeah, problem.
Okay.
He know about all the issues. But I don't know if this adds a little value. I put in Moses in the gematria. And
What you come up with? What'd it say?
It says the atom bomb. And what's another one?
The atom bomb. That's interesting.
Atom bomb. And it says the blue beam.
The blue beam?
Remember the Blue Beam project? What's it called? The Blue
Project Blue Beam. Yeah.
Project Blue Beam. That's what Moses comes to.
Wow.
So put that together.
Wow. Speaking of Moshe or Moses, let's go to Exodus 14. And what I'm going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is referring you over to the scripture, and whatever link the information is coming from, I'll give you that information, the link, so you can go do your own research. Of course, don't believe a word I say. I'm not here to convince y'all or persuade y'all. It's just information. Do your own research, pen and paper, take notes. Exodus 14. And this is when God is speaking to Moses. And then we're going to go back and find out where Moses come from. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, and they turned and encamp before Pethabra, between Middagog and the sea over against Baal-zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea, for Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness has shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon his hosts. That the Egyptians may know that I am Lord. And they did so. So it talks about Egypt, the Pharaoh, which is a position. It mentions Baal-zephon. I think Baal-zephon is an interesting deity.
Baal-zephon.
Yeah, see what you get with that.
Spell that again.
Hold on. There it is. So the Hebrew word Baal means Lord. It says Baal-zephon is a place and name that appears in the Bible and is associated with the Israelites' exodus from Egypt. Now let's find out who Baal-zephon was. It says Baal-zephon was a Ephite of the Canaanite storm god Baal, or Lord, and his role as Lord, Jebel Akwa, called Mount Zephon in antiquity. This is where Moses was told to go, according to Exodus. And this is who Moses encounters at the top of that mountain. Let's go see who Moses was, though. I think it's interesting. Acts 7:22. Everybody write that down. Acts 7:22. Acts 7:22 says that Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. Some taught that Moses had like a speech impediment, like he stuttered. So Aaron spoke for Moses, supposedly. But this says he was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. Acts 7:22. So then what I did was I said, well, who was the God during the time of Moses? Well, easy. This says Yahweh. Now, that's not my argument. My argument, when he was here, He was learning all the ways of this, Moses was, before he came out of Egypt. He knew about all this. He knew about Osiris. He knew about Ra. Apis. Apis reappears when Aaron builds the bull, the golden calf. It's Apis. The Egyptian believed that the Nile was so important that they worshiped many gods who were responsible for it. The Israelites believed in one true God, Jehovah or Yahweh, and performed wonders to convince Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. These wonders became known as plagues. The plagues were a way to show that God of Israel were more powerful than the Egyptian gods.
I feel like they were worshiping, when you talk about this, about Moses had to learn all of the different gods at that time. I feel like they were worshiping descendant masters that were not from this planet, but from another planet. I feel like they were training them to understand the who governs what throughout the universe or on other planets.
Okay. Well, let's go there then, because this was the deity in Egypt during the time of Moses. This is Amun, commonly known as Amin, Amun, or Amen. All three. Like you have Atan, Atum, and Atam. This is Amin, or Amen, Amun Ra, or Amun. Was an ancient Egyptian deity. It's very important. People talk about Egypt. You have to understand there's ancient Egypt, the pre-dynastic Egypt, and then there's the dynastic Egypt, dynastic eras of Egypt. That's just Egypt. Ancient Egypt is going back to Ptah and all the way back to Noon and Gab and you know all that stuff. But anyway, this was a deity during the time of Moses, and the pharaoh was Ramses III. So Moses knew about Ramses III. Moses knew about Amun. Moses knew this stuff. Moses was born in this. Now, let's just read this real quick. Amun was a major ancient Egyptian deity who appeared as a member of the Hermopolitan Ongdong, and the Ongdong, and then you have a later generation. I'm sorry, early generation called the Enads. The Enads are older than the Ongdong. This is a little bit later in Egypt, but those are the different kingdoms. Moses was learning all the ways of these Egyptians. He knew about everything, all of it. Now, let's find out where Moses came from. All right. His father looks familiar.
Amram.
He entered Egypt with Jacob's household. Moses had an older sister, Miriam, and an older brother, Aaron. The name Moses comes from the Hebrew verb to pull out or draw out of water. According to the Torah, Pharaoh's daughter gave Moses this name after rescuing him from the Nile as a baby. So remember I said earlier, the river goes up. It goes up this way. So whatever down here is older than what's up here. One more time. Whatever's down here is older than what's going on up here, because as the river progressively goes down the river this way, civilization sprout up down the river. And this is the same way as the Mississippi and North America. You see a lot of the mounds or pyramids along the Mississippi River throughout, from Illinois all the way down to Louisiana. That the central hub of North America is set up the same way. So what tribe did Moses come from? Now, this is going to put Moses in the Israelite tribe of Levi. Write that down. It's important. And what's important about the tribe of Levi, the Levitical priests became what was known as Kohanes. Kohanes or Rabboni. Rabbi. And these, bless you. And these are one of the first three descendants of Jacob: Simon, Levi, and Reuben. And these Levitical priests are the same people that Moses is going to turn to later and command them to slaughter those who was worshiping that bull calf. And that's how Moses got blood on his hands, supposedly, according to the story.
They say in the gematria, Levi is also associated with Tutankhamun. What's his name? King Tut?
King Tut, yeah. Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun, yeah. It's equivalent to the Levi tribe.
Yep. It says Moses was born in Goshen. So in Genesis, it talks about two rivers, the Pison River and the Goshen River. This is Lower Egypt or ancient Egypt. That's where he was born. So Moses was already in I don't know this thing, but Moses was born Hebrew. That's crazy. They don't even become Hebrews until he get them out, which they had been there for a long time already.
Goshen is also tied to, in gematria, the bloodline.
Yep. See a bloodline? That's crazy.
Bloodline.
He's known for what's called the Mosaic covenant and law under the Torah. He's an important prophet in Arabic religion, including Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Baha'i faith, Druids faith. This right here is one to look into as well. Not the Druid, but the Druids.
The Druids.
Rastafari, Samanthranism. Moses was a Hebrew prophet. Again, the word Hebrew wouldn't appear until they crossed over the river. And they were identified as Hebrews, those who crossed over.
Yeah, but that came later though, right?
Right. So, but they put it in context as if Moses was an Egyptian. Thutmose. Thutmoses. He was born Egyptian. See? Ancient Egypt.
They also tie Hebrew in the gematria to Columbus Day.
His nationality, they got Israelite, but there are no Israelites until Israel is born. So everybody before Israel was born were called what?
Say that again.
I was putting a question out there. They got his nationality as Israelite and Egyptian, before Jacob was born, there wouldn't have not been any Israelites. So what would they call prior to Jacob? The nation, the nationality, those people. Interesting. Mosaic covenant under law, the Torah, important prophet, again, of quite a few faiths.
Mm-hmm. They call them the castration cult.
The castration?
That's also tied to the Hebrew and Gematria. The castration cults.
Wow.
Praising Yahshua, the Messiah golden ratio measure. This thing is crazy.
Wow. Let's go into an area called Kush, and I'll walk you back forward. The area of Kush, where Moses is from. This is all Kush. Upper Egypt is right here. Lower Egypt is down here. Yeah, upper and lower is opposite. It develops first, right? So this is the Kush Empire, Kushite Empire.
Kushite.
Yeah, this is Kush. It says Kush was the father of Nimrod. That was the area of Kush also. So Kush was a person, and the kingdom of Kush is also identified. What you put? You put Kush in there?
You spelled it. Oh, yeah, I spelled it with a C. I thought it was spelled with a K.
Yeah, it is. Phonetically. Phonetically,
well,
it is.
I got Kushite is equivalent to Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. That's crazy.
Atlanta, Georgia. We're in the Kushite Empire in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow. That's powerful. So Kush was the father of Nimrod. And Nimrod was said to be a Gabor, or a giant, pretty much. Nimrod. Kush is traditionally considered the ancestor of the land of Kush. Now, where have we seen where have we seen this before? Let me show you. The Bible speaks about the land of Havilah. The land of Havilah. Today it's Saudi Arabia. But the land of Havilah is mentioned in Genesis. Let's read about the land of Havilah. It's in Genesis 2:10 through 11. Let's take a look at it. Genesis 2:10. A river rises in Eden to water the garden. Beyond there, it divides and becomes 4 branches. Now, this is going to become the Blue and White Nile and the Tigris and Euphrates. That particular area right there. This is the area we're talking about, which I just showed you on the map is Kush.
Yeah, it does. It does says the blue origin in Gematria.
Right. So now that we see, let's keep going. The first is Pison, and it winds through the whole land of Havilah where there is gold. And what's my point I'm making? I just showed you how it just said that the person named Cush also was the heir to the land of Cush, like that was his territory. So now I'm showing you the land of Havilah, and I'm going to show you who Havilah was, and it's all in the same bloodline in the same territory. And that's before I make my other points about the other lands.
And the Kushite still was also the Great Seal as well.
Now, according to Genesis 10:7 and 1 Chronicles 1:9, Havilah was the son of Cush. So now we know we identified Havilah in the beginning in Genesis before Havilah was even born. There was a land called Havilah, who was the son of Cush. And the land of Cush, which we're about to see right now, the Kushite Empire, aka the Nubian Empire, starts off in Genesis. Like this is an old empire of which Moses was already a part of.
Yeah, it says Havilah is also equated to the son of Saturn.
You said Saturn?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it also says Christ shall come soon.
Wow. Now, Havilah was a descendant of Noah through Ham, making him the great grandson of Noah. So let's just imagine all the people in Havilah was of dark hue. All the people of Cush was of dark hue. All the people of Ham were dark hue. What do you think their daddy, granddaddy was? More than likely of dark hue.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about Cush, Havilah. Now, there was another area too. Mizraim. Mizraim is the Hebrew and Aramaic name for Egypt and its people. That means the people are called Mizrahites. And the Mizrahites are descendants or akin to the Kushites. They're akin to the Kushites. Mizraim, Cush, and Phut, P-H-U-T, are all descendants of Ham. So now Mizraim is Egypt, but it also refers to the people. So there are some people called Mizrahites who occupy the territory called Egypt. They're called Mizrahites. We have to be clear about that. It is the original name for Egypt in the Hebrew Old Testament. It is the original name of Egypt in the Hebrew Old Testament. That means according to the Torah, according to even the Bible, the Old Testament, you can really use the word Mizraim instead of saying Egypt. And then you wouldn't be saying Egyptians, you would be saying Mizrahites, descendants of Mizraim. The grandson, the great-grandson of Noah, descendant of Cush by way of Ham.
Yeah. It also talks about it being connected to the moon phase, the cheat sheet.
Genesis 10:6, the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, and Phut. Put as I have right here.
And it's also equivalent to chosen by God.
Wow. What the word Cush?
Mizraim.
Mizraim, okay. And the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan.
Crazy.
And then the descendants of Cush become Havilah. I just showed you Havilah, right? Havilah. See right here? The sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Phut, Canaan. The sons of Cush, Sheba or Sheba. Havilah. The sons of Raham, Sheba. So now I'm going to show you the land of Sheba is the land of Cush, is the land of Havilah, is the land of Ham, is the land of Mizraim, is the land of Funt. These are all the same people, same bloodline. Because remember, after the flood, there was nobody here, according to the. If we stick to the story, nobody was here, according to the story. So these are the progenitors of the civilizations in that area, according to the scripture. Regardless of what they became known as later, by walking over some water, which is a ceremonial phase anyway, to cross over water. That's a ceremony. So let's go look up the land of Sheba. But keeping in mind, this is all the same people, all the same territory, Kush. So now when I talk about the Kushite Empire and show you the Nubians who were Kushites and how I think it was they had got raided or got attacked or something, and that's when Moses' mother put him in the reed basket and sent him up the Nile River. And then that's when Pharaoh's daughter got Moses out of the basket. And he was learned and all the way from an infant until he was 40. 40 years of just Kodak texts and hieroglyphics. And could you imagine being born and raised in Egypt in that time?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The land of Sheba. See? The land of Sheba, also known as Sabi, as is demonstrated in the scriptures, was an ancient kingdom in southwestern Arabia that is now part of modern-day Yemen. The kingdom was known for its wealth, agriculture, incense, and was a major player in commerce in the region. The location of the land of Sheba is a mystery, but the two leading contenders are Yemen and Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
Other places have been proposed to be location of Sheba, including Sudan, Egypt, Oman, Iran, but there is little evidence to support these claims. The Queen of Sheba, write her down. She's the Queen of Sheba, and she's the Empress. She's the Empress of Aksum. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The Queen of Sheba. Her name is Marquita. We're going to talk about her in a second. You see Ethiopia? That's not the ancient name of Ethiopia. Like you have to put the ancient name of Ethiopia in order to find out what Sheba is or where Sheba is. And the ancient name of Ethiopia is Aksum.
I got a few names for the land of Sheba. I got the Hilton. I got Good Girl. I got Ice Cube. And it says God's name.
Wow. But you guys see that you guys see that connection, right? Now, the kingdom of Aksum was a powerful African kingdom that existed from 1st to 13th century AD. The kingdom is located in the highlands of North Ethiopia, near modern-day Eritrea. Aksum is a trading nation that mediated trade between Europe, India, and the Eastern Mediterranean Sea or Mediterranean. Aksum developed Africa's first indigenous written script and introduced Christianity to the sub-Saharan Africa. A lot is happening right here in this reading because a lot of the African bishops who were called, let me show you, a lot of the African bishops, they were called Melkite Coptic Egyptians. Melkite Coptic Egyptians, the Coptics.
It also says that this was the heart of gold.
Nod.
Gold.
Gold.
G-
Oh,
Gold,
yeah,
the heart of gold.
yeah, I believe it because the remember the Bible mentions that the entire land of Havilah, he said, and the gold in that land was good. That's Genesis chapter 2, I think around verse 11 to 13. It talks about the land of Havilah. The land had oxen, different kind of stones. And it said the gold in that land is good. I'll show you that point after this right here. It said these are the Copts, are a Christian Ethiopian religion group of Northeast Africa who've primarily inhabited the area of modern Egypt, Sudan, predominantly following Orthodox Church in Alexandria. Now, the Orthodox Church in Alexandria, we're talking about in Egypt. This was an area that was established and set up by Ptolemy I. Ptolemy I established Alexandria. He also established what's called the Library of Alexandria. They are the largest Christian denomination in Egypt. They are the original Middle East and Sudan and Libya. Copts account for 5 to 15% of the population in Egypt, and the Coptic Sudan accounts for 1% of Sudanese population, so on and so forth. Blah, blah, blah. A direct descendant of the Demotic Egyptian language. Demotic. The Egyptians had two forms of written language. It was Demotic was one. The manuscript was called the pictorial form, the script form, Hammadic, erotic and demotic forms of writing. Yeah, there we go. The erotic and demotic forms of writing. This is what the Greeks applied. The Egyptians applied the demotic alphabet to the Greek language and gave the Greeks their alphabet when the Greeks came into Egypt. This is by way of Ptolemy, by the way. So keep in mind, we're talking about Ptolemy. Demotic Egyptian that was spoken in late antiquity. Following the Muslim conquest, the treatment of the Coptic Christian who refused to convert ranged from relevant tolerance to open persecution. And that's when we get into the same thing that happened when the Moors came into Spain, pretty much pushing back the Anglicans and the Gothics of the Holy Roman Empire. All right. Melkite Coptic Egyptians. King of Aksum. Let's find out who was the queen of Sheba. Who was the queen of Sheba? Coming out of the Britannica. Coming out of the Britannica. Queen of Sheba was, according to Jewish and Islamic tradition, the ruler and kingdom of Sabi or Sheba in southwest Arabia. In the biblical account of the reign of King Solomon, she visited his court at the head of a camel caravan bearing gold, jewels, and spices. The story provides evidence for the existence of important commercial relation between ancient Israel and the southern Arabia, according to the Bible. And the purpose of her visit was to test Solomon's wisdom by asking him to solve a number of riddles. The Queen of Sheba. Let's see if I can spell it right. It may kick it back. Let's see. The Queen of Sheba appears in Antiquities of Josephus. Josephus was a supposedly a Jewish writer of the day, with the name Nikisla. Queen of Sheba name was Markita. I gotta spell this shit right because it's gonna bother me. Was it 2 Ks? Makita. Let's see what happens. There it is. Makita. I was messing it all up right here. Here it is right here. The Queen of Sheba is referred to different names in different traditions. Makita in the Ethiopian tradition, because that's where we are. The Queen of Sheba is also known as Markita. Some linguists believe the name to variation of Candace. The Queen of Sheba, the mystery figure who appears in the Bible in 2 passages, she is said to have traveled from her country to meet King Solomon in Jerusalem. So this is where Moses is coming from, by the way. If you just not tuning in, we're just kind of digging into where Moses come from. Let's roll the dice, see what happens. Well, off the rip, I was looking for Moses comes from Cush, but in the Bible, Moses marries a Kushite woman, which means she was descended from the people of the land of Cush, which that's what Moses is from anyway. The land of Cush is often associated with Aksum. If you know like the ancient names of places, you get a lot further back when you get like different information or additional information. You just research Ethiopia, it eventually tell you it was called Aksum. But if you go right into Aksum and Cush and the Nubian Empire, then you can bypass a lot of that stuff. Cush are the Kushites. So we understand that the Mizraimites or the Egyptians, as they're called Mizraims. Mizraites. Now we have the Kushites, or dark-skinned people. The Bible mentions a few Kushites, including the woman Moses married and another Kushite who told King David about Absalom's death. Nubian Empire. Let's talk about Nubia. Nubia is a region along the Nile River, which encompasses the Blue and White Nile, the Gihon and Pison. The Gihon and Pison River mentioned in Genesis. The area between the first cataracts of the Nile, south of Aswan, in southern Egypt, or more strictly, Al-Daba. It is at the seat of the earliest civilizations of ancient Africa, the Carmel culture, which lasted around 2500 BC. And in BC time, you got to count down. So, you count in reverse. It's a little weird. Until its conquest of the new kingdom of Egypt under Pharaoh Thutmose. So let's talk about Moses again. Let's talk about Moshe. Around 1500 BC, whose heirs ruled most of Nubia for the next 400 years. Nubia was home to several empires, prominently the kingdom of Cush. So when we talk about Markita, who went to go see Solomon, she was the queen of Sheba. Sheba is the land of which the Kushite Empire existed. She was the queen of Sheba and the empress of Aksum. So she had like a double title, or one and the same. It says, which conquered Egypt in the 8th century BC during the reign of Pi, and ruled the country for 25 to his 25th dynasty. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The 25th dynasties of Egypt, also known as the Nubian dynasty, the Kushite Empire, and the Black Pharaohs, or the Nepentha, after the capital Nepentha, was the last dynasty of the third intermediate period of Egypt that occurred after the Kushite invasion. right here. Eritrea, Aksum, or what you call Ethiopia. A little bit further down here. And it goes up this way. It's a little weird to think. You would think it would fall down this way right here, which would be easier. If there's water right here, why didn't it coming down this way right here? But it's going up this way and back out. This is the famous Reed or Red Sea, of which Moses exits and crosses over, and they become what's known as Habiru or Hebrew. But before they are commonly referred to as Hebrews, let's take a look at what they were called before then. And we're still talking about Moses. Let's see what they were called before they were called or identified as Hebrews, because they don't become Hebrews until they cross over the river. Habirus or Habiru, term used in the 2nd millennium BCE text through the Fertile Crescent for the social status of people who were variously described as rebels, outlaws, or raiders. Habirus, and the biblical Hebrews. Who were the Habirus in Egypt? That's what we're talking about, because we're still in the Nubian Empire, still in Egypt. We're still in that black dynastic period I just showed you. Habirus, the variant spelling, Habirus, a designation of a class of people who made their living by hiring themselves out for various services. The biblical Hebrews have been in Egypt for generations, but apparently they become a threat. So on the Pharaoh's enslavement, unfortunately, so on and so forth, but they just went right into Hebrew. So I just want to show you who the Hebrews.
They also say that Hebrews are equivalent to King Charles III.
Wow. And you know what? I think I asked a question one day, and I was thinking about this. I said, so by the time we get to Europe, and there are dynasties in Europe, you know, kings and queens and heirs and so on and so forth. I said, where did their royal bloodline derive from? And then where did they bloodline, like, what was the start of this source? So
yeah, it's
you
also
saying
tied
that
to
makes
the.
sense.
It's also tied to the Moors too, the Hebrew. And Gematria is Moors.
Wow.
So it's all connected.
For sure. Habirus. Let's go into the Britannica. Learn about these Habirus just real quick, or remind ourselves about the Habirus. It says Habirus. This term was apparently applied by the Egyptians to other peoples or social groups who were of foreign origin. Many scholars felt that Habirus were the original Hebrews, of whom later Israelites were the only branch, so on and so forth. So again, we see the connection of the Habirus being associated with Hebrews. And there's another term also I want you that we're going to link. You got the Habirus written down. Now, let's go to this one. Horites. Also write down Horites.
All right.
The Horites were a people mentioned in the Torah in Genesis 14:6, Deuteronomy 2:12, inhabiting areas around Mount Seir. Mount Seir is an ancient and biblical name for the mountainous region stretching between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba, and northwestern region of Edom and the southeast of Kingdom of Judah. They may also have marked an old historical limit of ancient Egypt in Canaan.
Well, it says that the Horites is tied to, I don't even know, I've never even heard of this, but the Kalishtian India, Kalishtian India. And it also talks about humankind and the Nicaraguan, if I'm saying it right. Excuse my phonetics. And it's also tied to the Chattahoochee. We all know who the Chattahoochee people are.
For sure.
And it's also tied to the Nagas.
Black serpent gods. So let's read about the Horites, and I'm gonna slingshot this back over to Moses, and then we're gonna try to get through the next three, which will be real quick. But I wanted the root of the conversation to kind of start with Moses and the connection of Egypt. So I wanted to well establish the connection, which everybody should already know. This is not new information. But like with Cush, Havilah, how Havilah is mentioned in Genesis chapter 2 before Noah's not even born yet. But the land of Havilah is already mentioned. The land of Cush, which is associated with Cush, or old man Cush, they call it. The land is already associated with the tribe, with the people, because they came into the area and repopulated that land according to the story of Noah. They repopulated the land, and their descendants became the progenitors of all these different kingdoms. So for the Hebrews to become their own independent story without telling the origin stories, like, all right, let's start from the source. What were you called before you were called Hebrews? I just showed you Habirus. I'm showing you Horites, and it's showing you translation into what? Hebrews. Right here. The Horites, or Hebrews, were people mentioned in the Torah. I've established the Habirus. Now I'm establishing Horites. Watch this. Let's find out about these Horites. The Horites were devotees of who? I'm gonna let y'all read that for yourself. Who did the Horites worship?
Horus.
Whose mother Hathor, which is the calf of which Aaron, he constructed the calf. Aaron did. And Aaron said, let me show you what Aaron said after Aaron made Hathor. First of all, let's see who Hathor is first. Hathor. There we go. Let's see who this Hathor is. Hathor, Egyptian goddess of love. Hathor. Aaron makes a golden calf. Watch this. More importantly, what did Aaron say in Exodus 32? Watch this. The golden calf. When the people saw that Moses was so long coming down from the mountain, he was up there for a while. Moses was. They gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods, plural, who will go before us as for the fellow Moses who brought us out of Egypt. We don't know what happened to him." Aaron answered him, "Take off your gold earrings, your sons, take all that gold off." So all the people took off their earrings and brought it to Aaron. He took what they handed and made an idol cast in the shape of a calf fashioned with tools. Then they said, "These are our gods, Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." What Egyptian gods you're talking about? What calf? They said, "This is the god. These are the gods." So what Egyptian god are they replicating?
Sounds like the zodiac Taurus.
Because Moses was ushering them into the age of Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, away from the age of Taurus, and Moses was ushered them to the age of Aries, the ram horn. That's what Jews have now, the ram horn. Moses was ushering them into the age of Aries, out of the age of Taurus. And preceding him was going to be the age of Pisces. And Jesus said, "Follow Aquarius to the next house," which is in procession. That's how it goes. This was the end of the eon for those group of people, pretty much. And he was trying to usher unto them the next age, the information age. And they were reluctant. Some of them were. And some of them got agitated, like, man. So Aaron did this. Now later, Moses is going to come down the mountain, and Moses is going to melt that deity down and make them drink that hot gold. And then he asked the Levitical priests, which are the ones with the breastplates, those are the Kohanes. He then asked them to pull out their swords and kill them, and kill the ones who. What I found funny was Moses was saying this after receiving the 10 Commandments of, I'm pretty sure one said, "Thou shalt not kill," which is ordering people to get killed is probably the same thing. You shouldn't kill people.
Yeah, it also kind of makes you think too. Like if he was ushering them out of Taurus, why were they going into Aries? Wouldn't it be the other way around?
No. Moses represents Aries.
Oh, the sensation. Oh, got you.
Moses, zodiac circle. See, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, water. He was bringing them from here to the next age. And that's why I said in procession, which is the next, preceding is Aries, then Jesus, then where we are now. You see what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
It was just the end of the eon, end of that time that Moses supposedly. But he gets these right here, and this is what Dr. Ben was talking about earlier in that clip. He was on earlier. Dr. Ben was talking about the negative confessions, and Moses transcribed 10. So these first set that he got was directly from the mountaintop. He broke these. So watch this. Moses breaks the tablet. This is literally breaking the law. That's where it comes from. Break the law. he smashed it and broke the law.
It's the first time the law was broken.
What language was this stuff written in? I wonder though.
Cuneiform.
Right. So Horites, Habirus, I don't really want to go too much more into that. Just want to highlight some stuff. The next person who went into Egypt that I thought was interesting was Abraham. And Abraham's connection to Egypt was interesting also. Now, when Abraham went to Egypt, the god. This was the god of Egypt when Abraham went into Egypt. Sobek, the ancient crocodile god associated with the Nile River, fertility, and military prowess. Sobek. This was the god of Egypt when Abraham was in Egypt. Just like the god of Egypt when Moses was there, it was Amun. This is what you find right here. Let's see. This right here. That right there.
Mm-hmm.
And this was said to be a sacred ceremony that the deity Sobek would take the fat of the crocodile, which was called Mashiach, Messiah. Looks like Messiah, but it's Mashiach. And they would smear this crocodile fat over top of the initiate. And in Psalms 133, it mentions that the oil coming down Aaron's beard, that sacred oil was called Mashiach. And once they go through that ceremony, they would be known as messiahs.
Yeah, it says the child
Wow.
in gematria and Sobek. The child.
This is the child right
mind.
here. Yep. That's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
The child. It also says the Pope.
The Pope?
Yes, Pope.
Well, you know, we know who the Pope is, as relation to him being the vicar of Christ.
The vicar.
Which means he's Christ's representative in person.
And it also says Enlil.
Oh man.
I'm done.
Oh man.
I ain't gonna do no more. I'm done.
Let's go check out Abraham. Not Abraham. We just learned about Ham. We learned about Ham earlier. He hasn't got the name Abraham yet. It's coming. Abram in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land. Abram went down to the land of Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was so severe. And he was about to enter Egypt. He said to his wife, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say this is his wife. They will kill me and let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. When Abraham came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw Sarah. She's very beautiful, so on and so forth. And Pharaoh officially saw her. He treated Abraham, for sake, everything he just said. But the Lord inflicted serious disease on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarah. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said, why didn't you tell me this was your wife? Why did you say she's my sister? So I took her as my wife. Basically, this was an adultery, but Pharaoh is confronting Abram by saying, man, why you lied in the first place? Now you don't got me in trouble with the Most High. This is the confrontation. Pharaoh says, take her and go. Now who's the Pharaoh during the time of Abraham? His name is Sunusret. Let me put it in for you real quick because it's a little funny. I'm gonna pull up on the screen for y'all. This is the deity during the time. The Pharaoh. Give me a second. And what was interesting is this is when they were knocking the noses off the pharaohs. This was the pharaoh in the time of Moses. Come on, man. I'm sorry, Abraham, not Moses. Abraham. This was the pharaoh in the time of Abraham. He ruled from 1878 BC to 1839 BC. Remember, BC, you count down to BC time. Did a great power and prosperity. He's the fifth king. What was he known for? Important king to the 12th dynasty. This is the 12th dynastic period. They had 25 dynastic periods before the Greeks came into Egypt. Say that one more time for people in the back. They had 25 dynastic periods before the Greeks came into Egypt. Then the Greek dynastic period started with Ptolemy. But you see for yourself what they look like. Just like the Black Nubians, the royal bloodlines, the Black rulers coming from Nubia. Okay, but this is the pharaoh in the time of Abraham. So Bek is the god of Egypt during the time of Abraham. So Bek. Genesis 12. That's where I was going. Genesis chapter 12. No, we got to change it to the KJV. Hebrew Israelites will get me if I don't. Any other version. This is basically the Lord said into Abram, get thee out of the country. And so Abram is departing, leaving the land that was plagued with famine. So Abraham departed as the Lord spoke unto him, and Lot is his nephew. Lot is going to be the OG bloodline of the Moabites. That's who Lot is, will become. Went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when they departed to Haran. And Abraham took Sarah as his wife. Notice, because who Sarah really is to Abraham is not his wife. It's one of his kinsmen, but that was this tradition. Just like with Boaz, before he married Ruth, he had to go ask if there's any other kinsmen in line to marry her. Otherwise, couldn't do it. So this is to keep things bound in the family. And Lot, his brother's son. Lot is his brother's son, his nephew. The question you should ask yourself, what was his brother's name? And that brother, who was he to Sarah? One more time. Lot was Abram's nephew, which was Lot's brother. Find the connection between Lot's brother and Sarah. All other substance they had gathered, and the souls they had gotten in Haran, and then they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. We're gonna see the same story with Jacob. Genesis 46, I think. Leaving due to famine. Genesis 46. KJV. Let me change it before they get me. I be feeling like, man, just forget it, just read it. But it does read different when you read the KJV, though. It does read totally different. Is it 46? Yeah, okay. In Israel, took his journey. When they say Israel, they're not talking about the place. At this point, Jacob's name has become converted after he wrestled with the angel. He took his journey that he had and came to where? Sheba, and offered sacrifice unto the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in a vision of light and said to Jacob, Jacob, and he said, here I am. And he said, I am God, God thy father. Fear not, go down into Egypt, for I will make there thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their wives in a wagon which Pharaoh had sent to carry them. And they took their cattle, their goods, which they had gotten from the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seeds. How many seeds you speculate Jacob had?
So many.
Well, he only had 13 seeds of his seeds. And of course, his seeds had more seeds and seeds and seeds. So you're right. A lot of them, right? His sons and his sons' sons. Wow. Yeah, you said it. With him, his daughters and his sons' daughters. All his seeds brought he with him into Egypt. So why are they telling y'all that the Egyptians ran the Hebrews out of Egypt with Moses?
That's what I'm saying, man. We gotta go
here
back
you
to
are
the
now. Here you are now. Got the Israelites themselves in Egypt.
We gotta go back to the farm, man, so we can have some more seeds.
Oh, that makes sense.
See?
That makes sense. And these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt: Jacob and his son, Reuben his first son, like I told you before, and then all of Reuben's descendants, Levi and all his descendants, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Zephalon, Hagar. Like, it gives you all of them, his whole bloodline. Now watch what happens. Watch what happens. Now Jacob is in Egypt now. The Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, are in Egypt right now. They had to come back to Egypt. The whole bloodline.
The whole bloodline.
The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. Now here's something that's interesting about Benjamin, because Rachel actually named him Ben-On, the son of On. On was a deity of Heliopolis, of which Joseph marries later the priest's daughter of On. I'll show you. And unto Joseph in the land of Egypt was born Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh and Ephraim was welcomed until the house of Jacob. Jacob welcomed them as Israelites. So now they are both what? Mizraimites and Israelites. Because we're not going to say Egyptians, because we're dealing with the biblical narrative that area was not called Egypt. It was called Mizraim, because we're talking about descendability. And the descendants of that area will not be Egyptians. They would be Mizraimites, and then Kushites, and then Foothites, and then Israelites. Like, it just wouldn't be. You get what I'm saying? See, which Asenna, this was Joseph's baby mama, Egyptian baby mama. She was the daughter of Habiru, the priest of On. On is they're going to try to tell you that On was a location, but On was the deity that was worshipped in Heliopolis. It was called Heliopolis due to the fact that it was On. Now he's a priest of On. This priesthood was that Coptic priesthood I was showing you earlier. So now, guess who's back in Egypt with the priesthood? The Levites are back in Egypt because it said all of Jacob's children, the Levites, Reuben's kids, Simon's kids, all of them are back. The Bible said the sons of his son's seed, the daughters of his son's seed, like everybody came back into Egypt with Jacob.
That sound like,
go ahead.
That sound like the same thing you were talking about before when they gave us when we went back, we took the land over and then they turned the land right back over to the
YT people.
Right.
Over in you talking about with the
yeah, they gave us the 40 acres.
40 acres in the yeah.
And then they turned it right and gave it right back.
Yeah, that was look up Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson did that. Put Andrew Johnson's name in the direction.
Andrew Johnson.
Yeah, Andrew Johnson. You might get Pharaoh or something crazy like that.
Johnson. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson. The sea will gate speed, the catastrophic fell.
Damn.
See what ungodly did God. What did it say? Bill Gates, a Bobby wannabe God. I don't know. That's not saying that. It says, me, the wife of King David. I hate for Jesus. Some of the stuff does not make sense, but it says holy soulmate to King David. She's most precious of all the galaxies. And it's this one here. It says thank avatar body transfer.
Damn.
And it says the cabal has no fear of Mark King. It is cause he lied about bride of Christ. It says he who has the gold mask, the rules. He who has the gold mask rules. Basically. Horus is the new Lucifer.
That's what I was waiting on. Something that was with Egypt.
Hey, yeah. The wife of me, King David. Brazil was stolen. My daddy got Jesus. I hate for Jesus divine. I am one who came with God. God and his wife beyond cool gods. That's pretty much it, really, on the. But it also says assassination. Cool. Hold up. The English form of gematria says assassination under Andrew Johnson.
Damn.
That's what we was looking for.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear. Let's read 22 real quick. So going back to this, we know that Joseph, who was pretty much the big dog in the land of Egypt, Joseph was also the son of Jacob, and he had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and this is their mother, and their grandfather is right here, who was the priest of On, and On is the sun deity in Heliopolis. Learning all the ways of the Egyptians, like they just never got away from none of it. And it talks about the sons of Benjamin. And in 22 it says, these are the sons of Rachel, which were born to Jacob. So Rachel and Jacob had kids, of course. All the souls were 14.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about those 12 tribes.
To add to that, it says the sun deity is known as the God's children are not for sale. And it also says the Gaza Strip. So something over there at the Gaza Strip that's tied to the sun deity.
It says all the souls that came with Jacob, which out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 13 scores and 6. All the sons of Joseph were born in Egypt were two souls, and all the souls of the house of Jacob came to Egypt were 3 scores and 10. So let's read this one more time. All of which came from Egypt by way of Jacob, by way of Joseph, were these many. And I want to make this point because I feel like the disassociation from the Egyptian family to the Hebrew family, like there's a lot more in common than not in common.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pharaoh actually sends Jacob away with a nice little setup to get restarted, reallocations and all kind of stuff. And Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive." And Joseph said unto his brothers in his father's house, "I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brothers in my father's house, which are in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men and the shepherds for the trade have been fed cattle." 33. And it came to pass when Pharaoh shall call you, and shall say, "What is your occupation?" Thou shalt say, "Servant trade, been about cattle, blah, blah." Also, he basically telling them, dissociate yourself from the crown, that ye may dwell in the land of Goshen forever, and shepherds. So this is also part of the story. I've heard people say that when Joseph leaves Egypt, he came over here to North America.
What?
That's what I always heard. So we talked about Moses. Abraham goes to Egypt. Joseph's in Egypt. Jacob's in Egypt. There's one more person that couldn't stay out of Egypt. Where's the verse at? I think it's Matthew 2:13. No, we got to change it. KJV. This is Matthew chapter 2. Matthew. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judah in all the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east of Jerusalem, saying, "Where is thy born King of the Jews? For we have seen the star in the east." Now, anybody that's a Mason or Eastern Star, this is what the Eastern Stars typically say right here. "We have seen the star in the east. We come to worship him." This is exactly what's in the Eastern Star ritual. The Masons, this is what they say. But my question would be, who are they talking to? These, where they go? These wise men. The wise men, these are called nobles or Shriners. They're not called Shriners, they're called nobles. They came So you have the Shriners right here, and then you have the Eastern Stars right here. It'll make sense later. Just believe me. When Herod the king had heard of these things, he was troubled in all Jerusalem. Now, at this time, Herod was married to Jesus' aunt, Shalom. There was no male bloodline to take the throne, so Herod took the throne by marriage, pretty much. But when he heard that there was a descendant of the bloodline who was rightfully due to seat, that's when he was going to kill all of the male boys. So this is how Jesus ends up in Egypt. So Jesus, Abraham, Joseph, what's his name? Jesus, Joseph, Jacob. Jesus, Joseph, Jacob, Abraham, Moses. Egypt is just, you would think after Moses, you couldn't find no more association with Egypt. No, the whole story is just an Egyptian story. The whole entire story. If you take down the religion and just read the story into comparing with like human history, it's just ancient Egypt. It's fascinating. 13, this is when and when they departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph. This is Gabriel appearing to Joseph. And this is what he said. In a dream, arise, take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt and be there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And this is when Jesus goes into Egypt. Watch this. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt and was there until the death of Herod. Let's find how long he was there. Let's just ask the question. How long was he there? How many years was Jesus in Egypt? Let's see. How many years did Herod live? So we could just say Herod lived 69 years, quite 70. 37 to 4 BC. You count backwards. So it's safe to say that I think Jesus returned back at his bar mitzvah, age of 13, I believe. So just for conversation text, real quick, Jesus goes into Egypt. He's the angel tells Mary and Joseph, stay there till I call you out. Pick up the child, went to Egypt, stayed till Herod died. When Herod realized that they had been outwitted by the Magi, these are the wise men, the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill the boys, all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under. So he didn't know if Jesus was newborn or 1 or 2. He was already crawling. He had no idea how old the child was because they say they saw a star in the east. It didn't say how long it took him to get there, none of that stuff. So Herod, I don't know how old the boy is. Otherwise, he would just say kill all the babies. But he was like just 2 and under. I don't know how old he is. Excuse me. Then what was said was through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord, this is Gabriel, appeared to Joseph in the dream in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel. For those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." So she got up, took the child. He took the child and mother, went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judah, place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee and went to live in a town called Nazareth. So it was fulfilled that what was said through the prophet, he would be called a Nazarene.
That's Archelaus.
Archelaus, okay, Archelaus. So this is Jesus is in Egypt. That's the point. I showed you Abraham in Egypt. I showed you Jesus in Egypt. I showed you Jacob in Egypt.
Mhm.
They won't stay out of Egypt.
Yeah, that's interesting because Dr. York, Malachi York, he had a book called Jesus Found in Egypt.
Oh, really?
You ever seen that book? I don't know if you ever seen that book.
No. I haven't seen that book yet.
Oh yeah, that well, it's old. It's old, but it's a part of the tab. You ever had the tab?
The tablets?
The tablet, yeah.
The Holy Tablet. Yeah, I don't have a copy, but I had a library that had a copy of the purple joint. It was purple. Right. Yeah. They wouldn't sell it for nothing either. I offered them like $400. They're like, nah. We ain't selling it.
I got the tablet on PDF.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, I'll check that out. And maybe we would do one day is go through the Holy Tablets and break that down a little bit too.
Yeah.
The Holy Tablets. I want to do another one. Have you gotten to the Urantia?
Yeah, we needed to go through that because that was a powerful one too. Because I didn't even know when they selected Lucifer, there was 900 other Lucifers that he had to compete with, and he was the top in his class.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sharp, very smart. So anyway, appreciate y'all for tapping in. I'm being very true to my hour 45 minute, and I'm dismounting at an hour 45 for the record. Yeah, brother, High Priest, man, appreciate you tapping in with me, man. As always,
anytime. You know how we do it.
As always, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate the audience. Appreciate y'all, man. Be sure to drop something in donation. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, man. This is a call to action. And for those who are gonna see this a little bit later, the platform that we were streaming from, StreamYard, has increased the cost to be on the platform. You guys do know that this there's a monthly fee associated with us going live. So if you guys haven't seen much of myself over on Crumb TV Network or vice versa, because we're sharing the StreamYard platform, but it has to be a call to action to you guys to keep the information flowing on all platforms. So with that being said, like a donation would be great. You guys can do $5, it'd be great. And we're trying to stay away from a subscriber-based platform where you guys have to subscribe and get hit every month. But it's seeming to make the most sense at this point. Everybody's doing subscription-based, Netflix, everybody. So we're trying to avoid the subscription platform, but at some point we will have a choice. We do ask for donations. We do ask for, send something in. And if it's just a monthly $10 or $5, whatever the case is, that'd be great. But as of right now, you will see the bandwidth kind of being managed a little bit better by reasons like this. $44 a month is a lot. So just being transparent. Appreciate y'all again, man. Thanks for tapping in. I'm going to leave y'all with the words of the great Dr. Ben as we get up out of here.
Peace.
didn't sound rational, would it? So look, most of the things, we're in a European system. You could come to this university and spend 4 years, go back and spend another 2 for your master's, and another 1 or 2 for your doctorate, and never had any course at all about Africans. But every day you come here, you got courses about Europeans. This is an extension of European culture, European belief, European racism. And it has no intent of teaching about the Africans. The Africans built the Europeans' first university, the University of Salamanca in Spain. These are historical records. It's just like...
Okay, one of the things you said last night is that it's not just black people who are saying these things.
No.
Most of this information are written by white.
In white books.
It's just that they don't emphasize it in the classroom. As a matter of fact, let me back you up when you open up the discourse. We were speaking about Columbus. None of them in here, none of the listening audience, even in the air, has the faintest idea that in the life of Columbus, when after his death, his family had to go to court because charges was raised, and this is in the record in the Vatican, in the secret archives of the Vatican, that Columbus was shown a map of where the Queen of Sheba that Dr. Ben spoke about, this black woman who had mated with Solomon and produced the son, Menelik I, and they lived more than 900 years before the birth of Jesus, had already sailed through what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, came to lands to the west that was longer than Africa and Europe combined. And that, brother, is North, South, and Central America.
May I add this? Right here at this university, they teach, and I've just been here a few days, right? A day. They teach in this institution because it's the same as Cornell anywhere, that Hippocrates was the father of medicine. He's not until 333 BC. Let me read this for you.
Okay, you teach at Cornell, is it?
I teach at Cornell also.
They let you teach this kind of stuff at Cornell?
They teach it now, I'm there.
Okay.
1700 BC, that's 1400 years before Hippocrates, you can find the Kahum medical papyrus. Papyrus is paper.
Okay.
A compendium of information about women's diseases and pregnancies. In 1600 BC, that's 1300 years before Hippocrates, the Edward C. Smith papyrus, a comparative surgical text and anatomical inquiry. It especially deals with the spinal column. 1550. Let me jump to one here. The Ebers papyrus. There is the whole book on it. A medical paper by Queen Hatshepsut, the first known queen in history, an Egyptian queen. A papyrus designed to show women how to develop a method to stop pregnancy, to insert into the vagina, made of the shrub of acacia and honey, which break down into lactic acid. Not only that, Monsanto, DuPont.
So we're talking about birth control.
Birth control in 1550 BC by the Africans.
It's a long time before the pill.
A few days before the pill.
But keep in mind, however, keep in mind that Europe is not yet in history.
European history.